my own hometown. Stranger.
Howdy folks, Little John here once again for 5 on Friday. We got a little bit of support today from the good folk of Glenmorangie. The touch of the Highlands single malt Scotch whisky. I can recommend this one, it's not a bad job. Anyway, what I want to talk about today is sugar. And more precisely, what kinds of sugar you can use in your brewing, how to use them, when to use them, should you use them. We've touched on malts and grains previously, never really actually addressed sugar itself as an individual ingredient. So for today's today. Sugar, as far as the discussion today goes, we're referring to your generic sort of sugar, white sugar, raw sugar, brown sugar, dextrose, caster sugar, your general everyday sugars. Obviously malts are a form of sugar and your grain breaks down the sugar, but your normal sort of more household varieties, which are, for the most part, are used to produce alcohol in beer without really affecting flavour. More commonly used in kit brewing than in all grain brewing, but obviously has a place in both. It's very windy outside today, and you probably hear a little bit of the wind whistling about, and this is the reason I'm actually inside today. I've got the still running, which means I need to leave the 2 doors on the garage slightly open for hoses to come in and out, and it's whistling quite badly out there. So we're inside to chat today. So sugars, they get a bit of a bad rap overall on forums and Facebook pages and the like, when it comes to being used in your beers, and that bad rap and the bad image it's got really comes down to brewers using it inappropriately, using it in the wrong way. Any sugar has a benefit in beer. We need sugar to make alcohol. So we don't have sugar, we don't have alcohol. We don't have alcohol, we might as well be drinking water. So it has an important point. Essentially, the bottom line is that sugar is easily fermented. Most sugars are very highly fermentable, ranging generally from 85 to 100%, depending on exactly what sugar it is, and the yeast you're using will have a little bit of effect on how much it will attenuate. But for the most part, you're going to ferment most of that sugar, which is where its benefit comes in brewing. By adding white sugar or dextrose, your simple sugars, you're boosting your alcohol, but it's going to ferment out completely and leave really no body in the beer as a result. So it's a good additive, a good adjunct in kit brewing particularly, where you got a lot of malt, and if you stick with the malt, you tend to end up with a quite heavy, big body beer with a high gravity. So using the dextrose can help to counteract that a little bit. And you'll see all the time, like when I'm doing recipes, quite often for kit recipe, my standard is a recommendation of a kilo of malt and 200 to 300 grams of dextrose. On that point, I certainly prefer people use dextrose and white sugar in their brewing. And that small amount of dextrose it pushes your alcohol up while stopping adding any body. So it allows you to take your beer up to where you want it to be without dragging your gravity and your final body and mouthfeel up. So you can keep your beer a little bit lighter. It's awfully hard if you're brewing a kit lager to keep a light body if you're using all malt. You know, dry malt is 60 to 65% fermentable, so you're losing a lot of sugar behind. So for every kilo of malt you're using, you're losing 300 to 350 gram of unfermented sugar in your brew. Now, if that's all you got, you're making a fairly heavy beer, and it's not necessarily what you want, particularly in a lager. Even pale ales and beers in that sort of style, you want them nice and light. So by using your simple sugar, you can cut it back. Now, if you're using only sugar adding to a kit, then you'll end up with a very thin beer. And as a result of that very high fermentability and lack of flavour components within the sugar, it can add that cidery, bitey taste that is very commonly associated with home brew. All those old horror stories of Uncle Bob or the guy down the road or the old Italian fella, over the back fence, and their disgusting, horrible home brew. It's mostly attributed to using just plain white sugar. Temperature and yeast weren't helping the matter, but the sugar's a big influencer on that. So over time, people have gone, okay, well, let's change it up and actually add better quality fermentables to our brew. And even to the point where even, your Coopers and other manufacturers are actually recommending using brew enhancers, a sugar mix which has got malt and sugar, some dextrose and some light dry malt, maybe a little bit of maltodextrin, because they're understanding that you need those malts to boost the flavour, but you still need some of that simple sugar to help keep that balance there. So those simple sugars have their places. Brown sugar particularly is really good in stouts and porters. Something where you're looking for a little bit extra caramel notes and a little bit extra molasses. It works really good there. It leaves some of that underlying flavour still sticks behind, because there is that caramel and molasses flavour associated with your raw sugars and your brown sugars, muscovado, even going straight for treacle and golden syrup and things like that. So there are some flavour bonuses that you can get with it as well. You actually see quite a few old pommy recipes, even just for bitters, where they use treacle and golden syrup as a standard fermentable to molasses. It can be quite often used as well, to add those distinct flavours while still being very fermentable and not adding big body to the beer. So don't let somebody tell you that you shouldn't be adding sugar to your beer. It has its place, as long as you're understanding what it is you're trying to achieve with it and why you're using it, and don't go silly with it. I said, I do all grain brews. I've done plenty of all grain brews where I've added a couple of 100 grams of dextrose. Particularly my Aussie Pale Ale generally gets a couple of 100 grams of dextrose in it, just to help keep the body down whilst bringing the alcohol up a little bit. again, it's that balancing act. It's like everything we do in brewing. It's getting the combination of ingredients right to get the result you're after. And sometimes sugar will get you the result you're after. So as always with everything, keep your notes, keep a record of what you're doing, look at what you're doing. You know, if you're making a brew and it's it's a little bit bloody, it's a little heavy, maybe it's a little bit sickly, it's a little bit, it's the gravity's higher than what you were looking for. Play around a little bit. Maybe that brew would benefit from dropping back the malt a little bit and adding a little bit extra sugar. Take 200 grams of malt out and put 200 grams of Dex in instead. Try that on your next brew. See how it goes. It might be that little thing that makes that beer that bit better. It's not going to work on every beer. Some people aren't going to like it, but it does work. It has its benefits, has its place. So don't be afraid to use it. Just don't go bloody silly with it. Don't go sticking whole bags of it into your brew, unless it's a bloody big brew. But for the most part, start with your malt, back it up with some sugars. With an experiment. As always, if you've got any comments or questions, stick them down the bottom. Happy to ask. If you want to tell me you've been brewing with nothing but bloody, white table sugar forever and you make fantastic beer, put a comment down the bottom. No problem. We want to hear from you. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button down there on the bottom, so you keep abreast of what's going on, keep up to date, get a notice when there's a new video up. But that's it. Until next time, that's 5 on Friday for today. Little John, done. So until I'm looking at you again and we're talking beer, we're brewing beer or we're drinking beer, good brewing.